Hello and welcome to the Dragon Den. I'm King of Dragons 5000 and today I have another action figure review. Today I'll be taking a look at the Jakks specific Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the movie. My first impression on Tails is that I'm actually quite impressed by what Jakks specific was able to do here. Just like with Sonic and Shadow, the sculpt work here on Tails is very well done, and the engineering is actually quite smart. Taking a look at Tails' details, you can see that Jakks specific took the same care in sculpting Tails' fur. Despite being cast in mostly yellow plastic, there's a lot of details here on Tails. Starting at his head sculpt, they did a really good job sculpting the expression here on Tails. Just like with Sonic and Shadow, his eyes are a clear lens over the painted detail. And one thing I'm actually surprised about is that his muzzle is actually a separate piece of plastic. At the top of Tails' head, we do have 3 little tufts of fur. Taking a look at his body, Tails has this really small torso. Despite being small, it still has a lot of nice details, from the white fur on his chest going all the way around to the fur on his body. And I like the fact that the fur on his chest is actually a raised sculpted piece, with giving it some depth. Despite his arms being relatively skinny and small, there's still a lot of sculpted detail here. The fur is crisp and clean, and it goes all the way down to his white gloves. The cuffs of his gloves are sculpted nicely, and then his hands are just cast in white plastic. Just like with his arms, his legs are going to be relatively skinny, but they still have a lot of fur sculpted detail. And as you go down to his socks, the socks do have some line work sculpted into them. And it does appear that Tails is wearing a pair of red Chucks, as you can see some of the Chuck Taylor details here on his shoes. The only thing missing would be white laces, but overall the shoe sculpt here on Tails is really good. Finally, taking a look at his most iconic feature, Tails is going to have 2 tails. And I'm really impressed by the engineering here. Jakks specific has actually done a really good job sculpting these dual tails. His big bushy tails look amazing, and I do like the fact that the white tips of his tails are actually separate parts. The sculpt work on Tails is quite impressive, and it is in line with what we've seen with Sonic and Shadow. And I do like the fact that several of his parts are actually sculpted in the plastic colors, so you don't have to worry about paint errors here. With the paint and detail out of the way, let's compare Tails to our usual suspects. Getting Tails compared to our usual suspects, you can see that he is going to be relatively shorter than the rest of your collection. It is accurate, as Tails is actually a shorter character, so I'm really not upset about the scaling here. And Tails is going to scale relatively nicely to both Sonic and Shadow. Having a look at his articulation, Tails does have a ball joint in the head, butterfly joints in the shoulders, arms go out to the side and do a full 360. He has a hinge and a swivel at the elbow. He will have a hinge and swivel at the wrist, as well as finger articulation. His legs will kick forward and go back, and you do have to rotate that hinge to go outward. He has a hinge and swivel at his knee. He will have a hinge in the ankle and forward-facing pin for rocker ankle. And finally, having a look at his tails, they do have a swivel at the base of the tail, and then each tail is on its own individual hinge and swivel. So overall, despite being a smaller figure than both Sonic and Shadow, Tails actually has some impressive articulation. And the engineering on his tail was actually quite impressive, as I wasn't expecting it to have as much articulation as it has. And unfortunately, being a smaller figure, Tails is going to be missing some articulation. With everything said and done, let's get Tails posed for my final thoughts. I was blown away by the amount of detail on both Sonic and Shadow, and finding Tails at retail, I had to pick him up as well. They did a really good job capturing that feel of Tails, and giving him this bright-eyed expression was a really smart idea. And the fact that he is smaller than Sonic is actually welcomed, as in the movie Tails is still shorter than Sonic. I was quite impressed by the engineering here on his tails, as I wasn't expecting the swivel and individual hinges. One unfortunate drawback here for Tails, just like with Sonic and Shadow, is that he does not come with any accessories. I feel like a flight stand would have been really good here for Tails, as he is quite back heavy due to the fact that both of his tails are quite a heavy piece of plastic. However, despite the fact the tails weigh him down, you can still get him in a lot of dynamic poses. Overall, I'm really happy to have Tails in my collection, and if you're able to find him in stores, I highly recommend you pick him up. He is going to look very good posed next to Sonic and Shadow, and with Wave 2 right around the corner, I'm really excited about those figures as well. Just like with Sonic and Shadow, Tails is going to run you $15 at retail, so if you're able to find him at either Target or Walmart, I highly recommend you pick up Miles Tails per hour. Thank you for watching another video here on the Dragon Den. Before you go, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and check out the rest of my Sonic videos. If you're in a position to help out the Dragon Den, check out my Patreon, where I have some exclusive content and early access videos. Check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, videos, recent pickups, latest prints, and as always, ring that bell so you never miss another video. And until next time, my loyal Dragonites coming from the Dragon Den, I'm King of Dragons 5000, reminding you to redesign, rebuild, and reclaim. I'll see you next time.